If this video is helpful to you, please consider subscribing to the channel.
So first of all, I'm going to create a new TypeScript React.js project using Vite. So I'm going to run the command npm create Vite at latest. Next, I'm going to give the name of the project as my app. So next we have to select the library or framework. You can see that they have listed Vanilla, Vue, React, etc. So from that I'm going to select the React. So I'm going to click on enter. Next we have to select the language. So I'm going to select TypeScript as the language. So after that I'm going to select the folder, that is my app. Next I'm going to run the command npm install. So now you can see that the new project has been created. And also along with that, you can see the node modules. Okay, fine. Then after that, I'm going to run the project by the command npm run dev. So now you can see that this is the port. So I'm going to click this port, and here you can see the project. Here you can see the app.tsx and Vite. Okay. So next I'm going to search for the NBC News. I'm going to click on this link. Then here you can see that this is the home page of NBC News. Okay. So I'm going to create this clone. So for that, I'm going to first install the Tailwind CSS Vite into our project. So I'm going to click on this link. You can see that we have already done with first two commands. So I'm going to run the third command. So I'm going to take the new terminal and I'm going to run the third command as like this way. Then after that, I'm going to run the fourth command. So at that time, you can see that a new file has been created, that is tailwind.config.js. Okay. So next what we have to do is we have to copy and paste this string to this content section of this file as like this way. Then after that, I'm going to do is to copy and paste this in the index.css as like this way. Okay, fine. Then next I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this section of the code in the app component. So here I'm going to change the app component as like this way, and I'm going to paste the code that I have copied from there. Okay. So next here I am going to give another style, that is text color as red. Okay. So as of now you can see that the Tailwind CSS is not working. You cannot see the text color and underline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to terminate the project and I'm going to run the project again by the command npm run dev. I'm going to click on this port. So now you can see that here the Tailwind CSS is working fine. Okay. So next you can see that this is the navbar. So next I'm going to create a navbar. So first of all, I'm going to create a components folder, and in the components folder, I'm going to create the component navbar.tsx. And here I'm going to give as navbar as like this way. So I'm going to remove this React which has imported. Then after that, I'm going to take the app component, and here I'm going to call the navbar component as like this way. Okay, so now you can see that here is the navbar section. Okay, so next I'm going to do is I'm going to import this logo. So I'm going to import the logo into the assets folder as like this, and I'm going to import that logo into this navbar component, that is NBC from assets slash nbc.png. Then next I'm going to use that image. So here I'm going to use image tag, and in the source attribute I'm going to use the logo as like this way. Then after that I'm going to give the class name for this image tag, and in the class name I'm going to give the width height of that logo. So now you can see that here is the logo. Okay. So next I'm going to give as NBC News. So I'm going to give NBC News in an h1 tag. Then after that, I'm going to give a class name here. So in the class name, I'm going to give the style such as font for about, bold, then text size as like this way. So here is the structure. Next I'm going to do is to give these menus. So I'm going to use the h1 tag, and in the h1 tag, I'm going to give as politics. Then after that, I'm going to copy and paste this h1 tag for several times. Next, I'm going to change the each name of this menu as like this way. US News, Business, World, Video, Health, Live, etc. Okay. Then I'm going to give the class name for this main div. So in the class name, I'm going to give the style such as flux and items to sender. So now you can see that this is the structure of the navbar as of now. Then after that, I'm going to give the background color as blue 950 and width to screen and height as like this way. Then I'm going to give the common text color as white for this navbar. And here I'm going to give the class name for this h1 tags of menu, that is font for about bold and margin left. So now you can see that this is a structure. You can see the background color, then text color, etc. So I'm going to copy and paste this class name with this style to all of other h1 tag of menu. So now you can see the final structure as like this way. Okay. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to give here as margin left for this image tag of logo and of the NBC News. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to search for News API. So I'm going to click on this link. After that, you can see that I have already created an account using my Google account. So here I'm going to click on this, and you can see that here is the details such as email, etc. And also you can see the API key that we have to use along with the URL. So next I'm going to click on this back to home button. Then after that, I'm going to click on this get started. So here we have to select the language. So I'm going to select the JavaScript as the language. So next, this is the URL that we have to use. So I'm going to use it completely up to this API key. Then after that, I'm going to do is to create a new component. So I'm going to create a component called home.tsx. I'm going to give here as home, and I'm going to remove this React, which we have imported. Okay. The next I'm going to do is I'm going to create another component. I'm going to give the name of the component as main.tsx. And in the main component, I'm going to do is to call the navbar and then the home component. Then after that, I'm going to do is to call this main component in the app component instead of this navbar. Okay, fine. The next I'm going to do is I'm going to take the main component, and here I'm going to define a new function. So I'm going to give the name of the function as get news, which is an arrow function. I'm going to use the fetch operation. I'm going to paste the URL that I have copied. So next I'm going to give the API key here. So I'm going to copy the API key from here. Okay. So I have given the API key. The next I'm going to take the response, and I'm going to convert that response into the JSON format by using the JSON function. Then next I'm going to log that JSON formatted response in the console. Then after that I'm going to give here as async, then await. Next I'm going to give the try catch, and inside this catch I'm going to give as console.error, and I'm going to pass the error as like this way. Okay, fine. The next I'm going to put this fetch operation in this try. Okay. Then after that, I'm going to do is to call this get news in the use effect hook. So I have defined the use effect hook and I'm going to call this get news here. Okay, fine. Then next I'm going to do is to take the console. So in the console, you can see that as of now, there is no articles. So I'm going to do is to remove this section of date up to here. And I'm going to refresh the page again. So at that time, you can see that there is hundreds of articles. Okay. So I'm going to give here as JSON.articles. Okay, fine. The next I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the news. So each news contains the details such as author, title, description, date, etc. So next I'm going to do is here you can see that this is the left section and right section of the home page. So I'm going to create a new component that is left section dot tsx, and here I'm going to give as left section. Then after that I'm going to create a new component called right section dot tsx, and here I'm going to give as right section. Okay, fine. Then next I'm going to do is I'm going to take the home component and here I'm going to call the left section component and right section component. Okay, fine. Then after that, I'm going to give the class name for this main div, and in the class name, I'm going to give the style such as flex. So now you can see the left section and the right section here. Then after that, I'm going to do is to take the main component, and here I'm going to define a new state that is news, and I'm going to give the empty array as the initial state, and I'm going to copy and paste this set news instead of console.log. And after that, I'm going to pass this news state as the props to this home component. Then I'm going to take the home component. Here I'm going to take the props. Next, I'm going to define the type of the props, that is type news prop, which is equal to, in the curly brace, I'm going to give as news colon any. Next, I'm going to copy and paste this news prop here. Then after that, I'm going to do is to pass this props dot news as news to the left section and right section as props. Okay, fine. Then next in the left section, I'm going to take the props. I'm going to define the type of the props, that is type news prop, which is equal to, here I'm going to give as news colon any. Okay, fine. The next I'm going to do is to give this news prop to this props as like this way. Then after that, I'm going to copy and paste this type definition in the right section as well. Then I'm going to give here as props colon news prop. Okay, fine. Then after that, I'm going to do is I'm going to map through this props.news, and then here I'm going to give as return. I'm going to take the each news as data, and I'm going to give the type as any. Then here in the h1 tag, I'm going to give the data.title. Okay, fine. So now you can see the title of the whole news here. The next here I'm going to give the class name for this main div, that is I'm going to give the style such as width 56, and in the left section I'm going to give the class name for this div, and in that I'm going to give the width such as 9 by 12. Okay, fine. Then after that I'm going to take the right section, and here for this h1 tag I'm going to give the class name, and in the class name I'm going to give as font for about bold. So now you can see that this is a structure of the home section. Then after that, I'm going to use another tag that is HR, and in the HR, I'm going to give the class name for giving margin top. So I have given margin top for the title also. So as of now, this is a structure. Next, I'm going to use the list tag. So here I'm going to copy this data.title and paste it here, and I'm going to remove this h1 tag. And here for this UL, I'm going to give the class name and the style such as list hyphen disk and marker colon text color as blue. Then I'm going to give the class name for this list tag, that is font for about bold. So now you can see that this is the structure of the right section. Okay. Then next I'm going to do is I'm going to give here as margin top for this UL, and also I'm going to change this margin top for this HR. So this is the structure of this right section. So here you can see that the news are listed based on Apple. So I'm going to take the main component. Here I'm going to change it as Q equal to politics instead of Apple. Okay. So now you can see that politics based news are listed as like this way. So after that, I'm going to do is here you can see that this is the left section which contains the image, title of the news and other details. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to take the console. The next in the left section, I'm going to log that props in the console. So now you can see that in the console, here is the props.news which contains the news. So each news contains a URL to image and a title, and you can see the source and also the author, etc. So what I'm going to do is in the left section component, I'm going to map through this props.news. Here I'm going to give as a return. Here I'm going to take the each news as data, and I have given the type as any. And in the h1 tag, I'm going to give as data.title. Then after that, here you can see that the list of title in the left section. Then I'm going to give the class name for this h1 tag. And in the class name, I'm going to give the style such as font for about bold, text size. So here is the structure as of now. Then after that, I'm going to use the image tag, and in the source attribute, I'm going to give as data.url to image. Then I'm going to give the class name. So here I'm going to give the width and the height. So this is a structure. Here is title and the image of that news. The next I'm going to do is I'm going to use the div tag, and I'm going to put this h1 tag and the image tag in this div tag, and in the class name I'm going to give as flex. It is aligned as like this way. Then next I'm going to use the HR tag below this div tag, and I'm going to give as margin top, and I'm going to give the margin top for this div also. Fine. Then after that, I'm going to do is to use another div tag and to put this h1 tag of title into the div tag. And here I'm going to use another h1 tag for giving data dot author. Next, I'm going to give as data dot description. Then here you can see the description and the author of that particular news along with the image and title. Okay, next I'm going to do is I'm going to give HR tag here and I'm going to give as margin top. Then I'm going to give HR tag below this author and I have given margin top. So here also I have given margin top for this title and for this author and also for this description. Then here I am going to give as font for about bold for this author and description class name as like this way. Okay. So now you can see that this is a structure. Then after that I am going to do is I am going to give here as margin left for this main div. Okay. Then I am going to take the home component and here also I am going to give padding left as like this way. Then in this left section I am going to give the class name for this div. I am going to give as padding right. Okay, fine. So next I am going to do is I am going to use the add tag here. So I'm going to wrap this div by using this add tag and I'm going to give the href here. Href equal to data dot URL in the left section. So now you can see that I'm going to click on one of the news. Then we will be redirected to a page which contains the details of that particular news. Then after that, I'm going to do is I'm going to take the right section. Here also I'm going to use the a tag for wrapping this UL as like this way. Then next I'm going to give here as href which is equal to data dot URL. Then after that I'm going to click on one of the news in the right section. At that time you can see that we will be redirected to the page which contains the details of that particular news. Okay, fine. Next I'm going to do is I'm going to give the functionality for this menu. So I'm going to take the main component. Here I'm going to define the state that is menu, comma set menu, which is equal to, and I'm going to give the empty string as the initial state. Then after that I'm going to pass this set menu as a prop to this navbar component as like this way. Next I'm going to take the navbar component. Here I'm going to take the props. I'm going to give the type of the props that is menu prop which is equal to I'm going to give as set menu colon any and I'm going to give this menu prop here as like this way. Then after that I'm going to give on click for this h1 tag that is props dot set menu and into the set menu I'm going to pass the menu as like this way. Then after that I'm going to copy and paste this on click to all of other h1 tags. Then next I'm going to change the name of this menu as like this way. After that I'm going to do is to take the main component and here I'm going to use this menu state instead of this politics. So here I'm going to first change it as backtick and here I'm going to remove this politics. I'm going to give as menu if there is menu, otherwise I'm going to give as politics as the default. Okay, fine. Then I'm going to give this menu state to this dependency array in this use effect hook as like this way. Then now I'm going to do is here in this navbar h1 tag I'm going to give the cursor pointer. So I'm going to copy and paste this cursor pointer to all of other h1 tags as like this way. Okay, fine. Then next you can see that I'm going to click on one of the menu. I'm going to click on business. Then I'm going to click on the world. So now you can see that the news based on the menu. So when I click the politics, you can see the news based on the politics.
If this video is helpful to you, please consider subscribing to the channel